In what can only be described as a continuation of the civil war between the FIA and Liberty Media, the owners of Formula One, FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem will step back from direct involvement in the sport. This is a significant development because it indicates that the power balance between the two sides has shifted significantly, with the FIA beginning to buckle under both internal and external pressure. What does this mean for the 2023 season? And could it be disastrous for Formula One? Keep watching until the end to find out. Ben Sulayem has been at the center of a growing controversy in the F1 off-season as long-standing tensions between the FIA and Formula One management have begun to surface. There have been disagreements over issues such as expanding the F1 grid, with the president's desire to add new teams such as Andretti Cadillac not meeting with the same enthusiasm from F1 and its existing teams, and revisions to the International Sporting Code, which some have argued violate drivers' free speech. Ben Sulayem has personally come under fire for comments he made about the Andretti bid, as well as the discovery of an archived 2001 version of his website in which he was quoted as saying, "I dislike women who think they are smarter than men, for they are not in truth." In the eyes of commercial rights holder Liberty Media, he also crossed a line by publicly discussing rumored interest in purchasing F1, prompting a letter from F1 and Liberty Media legal heads warning Ben Sulayem and the FIA not to interfere in such matters. During the winter, the FIA has also been completing a restructuring of its F1 management, something that Ben Sulayem did set in motion a long time ago. The process was recently completed, with FIA single-seater technical boss Nicholas Tombazis appointed as single-seat director, as well as the arrival of longtime F1 man Steve Nielsen as sporting director. According to the FIA, the natural next step was for Ben Sulayem to be less directly involved in day-to-day F1 business, indicating that this was planned, though it is already being viewed by some as a reaction to recent events that means he will interfere less. Tombazis will have greater F1 responsibility as the director of the restructured single-seater department, according to a letter sent to teams, while recently appointed CEO Natalie Robin will have broader responsibilities for the FIA's operation. According to the FIA, Ben Sulayem will continue to be involved in key decisions and strategic matters, but will devote more time to his broad remit as president, which spans the breadth of global motorsport and the bigger picture. So, what happens next? Whether or not Tombazis will take word from above from Ben Sulayem moving forward remains to be seen. But with Formula One looking like it has reclaimed its independence, the changes the FIA president was hoping to bring about may be jeopardized. Specifically, unless enough teams are persuaded otherwise, the expressions of interest process for new teams may not yield any new entries onto the grid at all. The Andretti Cadillac bid to become a new team has previously been criticized by several teams, who want to protect their interests and the 10-team grid in order to keep the current levels of prize money in place, without the risk of that being diluted for another team that they believe will not add as much value to the sport as intended. As a result, Andretti Cadillac and any other suitors are likely to have to make an irresistible bid to join the grid. Michael Andretti took Formula One's advice and secured a major manufacturer as a partner to bolster his proposed entry, and an all-American team would tick off a key market for the sport. But with Formula One reportedly not pleased with Ben Sulayem's decision to launch an application process in the first place, they and the teams will need to be persuaded if any proposal to add to the grid is to be successful. Drivers' free speech hangs in the balance. Another thing to keep an eye on is the fate of the so-called free speech rule and how that situation is now clarified and handled from here. This will be a good litmus test to see if Ben Sulayem's role change can signal a reset in strained FIA-F1 relations. The FIA's International Sporting Code was updated ahead of the 2023 season, outlawing the general making and display of political, religious, and personal statements or comments, notably in violation of the general principle of neutrality prompted by the FIA under its statutes, and stated that such statements or comments will only be permitted if the competitor has already had it approved in writing by the FIA or the relevant national authority. The FIA quickly defended the change, claiming that it was in keeping with sport's political neutrality and emphasizing its commitment to focusing on underrepresented groups in order to achieve a more balanced representation of gender and race and to create a more diverse and inclusive culture. But that didn't stop it from being widely interpreted as a ban, or, at best, a deterrent. After all, the requirement for written approval implies that this approval may be withheld if the statement a driver wishes to make is deemed inappropriate in any way. The change comes after 3 seasons of drivers such as Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel openly championing causes ranging from LGBTQ+ rights to climate change awareness and anti-racism efforts, including when F1 raced in countries where those issues were of particular concern. As drivers returned from their winter break for their first media appearances of 2023, reactions to the ISC change were mostly negative and befuddled, with no clarity on what may or may not be approved, and what the consequences of proceeding with the unapproved gesture might be. "We need clarity from the FIA on what they're trying to tell us," said Williams driver Alex Albon. "On a personal side, it is somewhat confusing. We were very much for we race as one and all those situations, and now it seems like F1 or the FIA are trying to go away from that. We just need to be in open dialogue about what they're trying to do. Of course, we need to be able to speak freely to a certain extent, and I'm sure we'll get clarity about what they're really trying to say. A lot of people come to us and look to us as spokespeople for issues around the world. I do feel like it's a responsibility for drivers to make people aware of these kinds of situations." Similar sentiments have already been expressed by the recently retired Vettel and world champion Max Verstappen, and drivers' opinions are only likely to become more vocal as the remaining teams hold full launch events, and the likes of Hamilton are questioned about the FIA's stance. But it's not just the drivers that are against the new rule. A Guardian interview with F1 Chief Executive Stefano Domenicali could be interpreted as the championship defending its drivers' rights were now threatened in the context of current FIA versus F1 tensions. "F1 will never put a gag on anyone," Domenicali said. "We're talking about 20 drivers, 10 teams, and many sponsors. They have different ideas, different views. I cannot say one is right, one is wrong, but it is right, if needed, to give them a platform to discuss their opinions in an open way." Domenicali stated that he has been in contact with the drivers on the subject on a regular basis, but he also stated that he expects the FIA to provide a more detailed explanation of what the new ruling entails and thus what it truly means. Another factor that could complicate things is what the Grand Prix Drivers Association does about the FIA's free speech rule. The GPDA was founded in May 1961 and is the trade union for Formula One drivers. It is currently led by 4 people, one of whom is the retired 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel. Despite his retirement at the end of last season, Vettel's departure from the GPDA is not guaranteed, as even those who are currently without a seat are allowed to continue in the role. Chairman Alex Wurz is an example of this. The Austrian retired from Formula One in 2007, but returned 7 years later to take up his current position. In an interview with the media, Wurz revealed that Vettel's future with the team has not yet been decided, and that the current members decided to wait until the new season before making a decision to give Vettel time to think it over. Since the disaster that was the 2005 United States Grand Prix, the GDPA has become increasingly involved in Formula One politics. It has also contributed to increased safety in the sport, particularly following Jules Bianchi's tragic accident in the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix. It's almost certain that the association will reconvene at some point to discuss the FIA free speech rule, and Sebastian Vettel's position as director, as well as being one of the union's most senior and respected figures, will have a significant impact on the outcome. But what are your thoughts on the situation? Should F1 drivers be allowed to express their opinions on political issues? Or should they concentrate on their driving duties and let activists do the talking? What effect will Ben Sulayem's change in approach have on the sport? Please let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking it and subscribing. Be sure to click the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Thanks for watching.